Gee, I just recorded this video with sound, and turns out I looked at the camera and it was not on. So, take two. The Dead Side of the Mic by Simon Brett. You can see I have a Simon Brett playlist in my videos here because I've read several of Simon Brett's novels, and so this one's really old. This one's from 1980, and actually this is a book from 1980. I got this at the Brooklyn Public Library because if you live in New York, these library systems are not, the New York Public Library does not include Brooklyn. It's a separate system. So you have a separate library card for Brooklyn. And so I got this from the Brooklyn Library, and it's actually 45 years old. This is from 1980. So it's a vintage copy that was in their storage. It says storage right there. So what we have here is a story about radio, BBC. Now, I used to listen to BBC's radio quite a bit when like 10 years ago, whatever. I got all into radio drama. That's why my Gmail is called Ear Story. So if you want to email me, it's Ear Story, EARSTORY, one word, at Gmail. Because I thought I was going to get into production of audio dramas. I thought that would be a good thing for me to do. But I did make one, and it was pretty good, and participated in some other productions along the way, which are somewhere available on the internet. So I did some of that, but then I stopped doing it. So the BBC has all these different radio stations that give different kinds of like news. And then there's the BBC Four, which is the one I listen to. That's where they have the audio dramas, and that's where that's where I first heard of Charles Paris, because they do audio plays of some of the Charles Paris mysteries from time to time, and Charles Paris is played by Bill Nye, the movie star. So those are really good, and they're in several parts, and you can find them on YouTube if you want to actually listen to them yourself. So I would recommend doing that. I don't know if they have this one, The Dead Side of the Mic. So the thing about this book is that a lot of it in this 1980, a lot of it has to do with radio and radio production and the materials that are involved in radio production. So we have tape. So it involves stolen and bootleg tape. It involves cassettes. So, stuff like that, and reel to reel tape machines, and the copying of bootlegging material like that. And it has two deaths in it, who, of course, they turn out to be murders. I'm going to give some spoilers with this book. So, spoiler alert. So yeah, they are a couple of murders, and that are staged as self deletions, but are actually murders. One is in a studio in the BBC, and whether one is out in a car somewhere. It involves exhaust fumes put into the car with a plastic tube. The story involves this guy. There's a disc jockey in it. So there's a disc jockey named Dave Sheridan, and the disc jockey is getting very, very famous and is rising. Is starting to work in television. So, I don't know. I'll have to check and read comments somewhere on Goodreads or whatever. But if anybody read this book in the last 10 years or whatever, but. Because the character of Dave Sheridan made me think, of course, of Jimmy Savile, who the famous DJ. So this is a big famous DJ is getting more and more powerful and so forth. And well, he ends up being the perp, but not in the way that the Jimmy Savile was a perp. He's a murderer. So okay. So yeah, so that's what goes on with that, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of the technology really dates the whole thing, but I guess you can work your way around that if you want to read the book. I thought it was, I thought some of the newer things I've read, like the Cluttering Mysteries, I like this better than this particular one. I don't know if it's that Brett got better over the years or what, and filled his books with more ancillary stuff that made it more interesting, more detailed of other things. I didn't treat the book too fairly. I just actually I read something that was very good right before this, like kind of a real excellent novel in The Doorman by Chris Pavone or Pavone. That one just was so good and it stuck with me in a way. And actually, my landlady read it and liked it really a lot too. So yeah, so I didn't treat this one exactly too fairly. I should have read a nonfiction after that because after the brilliance of the Doorman, any sort of other novel was going to kind of pale in comparison, and well, it kind of did. So especially since it's older and so forth. So anyway, that's that. I do want to do a little bit of reading from some passages in the book because it was good. In one part of the story, he goes to New York with his wife because, well, he has a wife, but she is well, they're separating. Except they kind of got together again when they were in New York briefly because she needed him. And anyway, he goes to his mother-in-law's funeral. Is why they go to New York. So this is a little part about the funeral at the funeral itself. The other false note was struck by the fact that the minister had an American accent. Charles knew that he was being very naive, that if he rationalized it, he would realize that in America everyone had an American accent, but like most British people, his main contact with the United States has been through the country's enormous exports of films and television series. These produced a reflex reaction. Anyone with an American accent must be acting. So the minister, with his neatly trimmed silver gray hair and his deep sincerity of his voice, looked to Charles like one of those very skilled character actors who turn up on every other American television series. By the end of the ceremony, he could almost put a name to him. Charles realized that a lifetime of hearing about the States and not being there had filled him with a lot of silly prejudices. Yeah. And I think about the silly prejudices that a lot of people have about New York, like it was crime ridden and all this like propaganda. You don't even have, you don't know what a place is really like until you're there. And somehow I made it out of to Trader Joe's and back today without being mugged. It was hard, but I made it. This is a good part about the New York part again. The waiter in the coffee shop was a jolly Italian who recognized them as English, and as he served pancakes and sausages to Charles, asked which sights they were going to see that day. You should try the World Trade Center. Get up to the top. Amazing view there. You'll really enjoy it. Another time, maybe, Charles said. Today, we have to go to a funeral. Okay, well, have a nice day. A few comments about marriage in here. If marriage was all about making love and comforting wives when they cried, he would have been very good at it. But it was only a small part. There was all the waking up in the morning and the going shopping and the washing up and paying the mortgage and replacing fuses and plugs and spending evenings when there was nothing on television watching it. Well, those were the bits that killed. Once again, he felt confused by the male psyche, confused by the whole system of marriage. Once again, he concluded that it was a generalized system designed to suit everyone in general terms all the time and suiting no one in detail any of the time. This was right toward the end, and it kind of it's actually what podcasters and YouTubers and so forth experience as well. Anybody in trying to do mediaized things like this, where you don't know whether anybody's out there or not. This is the producer was saying, sometimes I get the feeling there's no one out there, that we just make programs for our own amusement and nobody hears them. It's kind of masturbation, really. The girl nodded intently. I feel we're on the dead side of the mic, and real life is going on somewhere out there without our knowledge. That's why I stay on the dead side of the camera, because I'm a little wary of the other side in real life. So there's that. The dead side of the mic. Presumably, I've recorded picture this time, and I can actually make a video. So it was pretty good. It was dated, as I said. And I was unfair to it because I read a great book before. Like and subscribe, please, and we'll talk to you the next time.